Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we have our very first look at the Tier 5 French cruiser, the Galissonnière. So, let's take a look at our commander. As you saw yesterday, we were running Andrei Leminier. We are running Isiroko Yamamoto and Nikolai Kuznetsov as our commander inspirations. We have Beyond Range, Igniter, Punch Through, and Fixated as our skills, as well as the fully packed Legendary 1. We are a level 11 commander. So, if we look at the ship itself, we are running a fully upgraded ship. We have Aiming Systems Mod 1, we have Steering Gears Mod 2, and we are fully upgraded. Alright, so, as you can see, we get sonar, and finally we get our engine boost as well. Engine boost comes in handy, and it kind of makes these cruisers unique. Now, I'm not running any boosters currently, but I am running the camo and the community contributor flag. For survivability, we get 27,300 hit points, and it has a 10% torpedo damage reduction, which is not bad for a cruiser. It's not quite up there with the Japanese cruisers, which have better torpedo reduction, but it's still pretty good. Main battery is 152 millimeters. It's got 9 of them. It's got 3x3 turrets, so you got 2x3 in the front, 1x3 in the rear. 16.9 kilometers without a booster. Reload time is finally getting to where you would like it at 9 seconds. 9 seconds is pretty good. 180-degree turn time, 15 seconds, not bad. Actually, it's pretty good. I really like the turret traverse on these ships, especially considering you tend to need them quite a bit. And then this match that you're going to see, you'll see what I mean. Maximum HE shell damage is only 2,200, so it's good, but it's not amazing. Chance to set fires, 14%. Again, good, but not amazing. It's pretty good for a 152 anyway. AP shell damage, maximum is 3465. Secondary armament, you do have 8 of them now instead of, what was it, 2 before? So don't count on your secondaries still. Torpedo launchers, though, you've got 550 millimeter torps. You got a dual launcher on the right and left of the ship. You also have 60-second reload time, which is really nice. I don't get to use them in this particular match, but it is nice to have a quick reloading torpedo. Maximum damage is 14,833, and they have a range of 9 kilometers, which is nice as well. Torpedo speed is getting a little bit quicker as well with 60 knots. So a little bit of everything is getting better. Torpedo detectability takes a hit. Obviously, anytime you speed up the torps, they tend to get more easily detected. So it's 1.3 kilometers. Maneuverability is 31 knots. That's not particularly good, considering we just came from a ship that was doing, what was it, 36 knots in the Emile. So the maximum speed takes a hit, but what you get out of that is a little bit better armor, and I personally like this ship. I know a lot of people were saying that they're not a big fan of it, but so far, I like it better than I did the Emile, and, you know, this thing's actually pretty savage. It can very quickly turn the tides on enemies that decide to give it the broadside, especially cruisers. Concealment is 11.8. Again, not particularly good. Detectability by air is 7.4. Guaranteed is always 2. And detectability while firing in smoke is 6, which I believe is worse than the Emile as well. Wasn't the Emile like 5.3 or something like that? Anyway, long reach, above average main battery range, hit them before they can hit you. Broad launch, again, talking about that extra wide spread, but considering you only have 2 torpedoes on either side, you're probably not going to be using a wide spread very often. And you can see the dual launcher of the torps right there in the center mid-deck. But that means that they have pretty good firing arcs as well. Compromising. Higher caliber AP shells may overpin the armor, but may still arm depending on shell velocity. So yeah, this ship has a tendency to be thin enough armor to think or make you think that you can get away with it, and then it makes you pay for it if you're not careful. So keep that in mind. But it is pretty tanky in the right situations against most of the ships that it's up against. By the outbreak of World War II, La Galissonnière was one of the best light cruisers in the world. In contrast to her predecessor, she featured good main battery guns and the best armor protection among ships of this type. In 1943, cruisers of this class received enhanced anti-aircraft armament and surveillance radars. She entered service in 1936, and there were 6 of them in the series. And again, I like the looks of the ship. It does sit above the water quite a bit, and then you know that's something that I'm not a big fan of in World of Warships, because the higher it sits out of the water, the more of your ship people can hit. So yeah, it sets really high, but I do like the look of it, and the guns perform fantastically. As you would expect out of these French cruisers. They are very good gunboats. The torps are there as well. And the armor, like I said, it's just good enough to allow you to get away with things, to make you overconfident and get yourself into trouble. So, without further ado, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we are going to be on Trident Domination. Again, finally we're getting some other maps into the rotation. I don't know what it was for so long, but it seemed like every match that I logged in, I was getting Sleeping Giant, Sea of Fortune, or Greece. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate those maps, but if you play the same 3 maps over and over again, it just gets really obnoxious. But that being said, we are in the La Galissonnière. And we are going to try to push over and take our side. Now, this is going to be kind of one of those deals where I showcase the ship rather than my particular gameplay. Because honestly, I didn't play that well in this, but I was in good positions, and the ship was able to take the hits that I was in order to allow me to take advantage of the people that were there. But I also have a pretty good team in this one, and that is something that can't be understated. Having a good team is not always a thing that happens, but when it does, you know it. And I like to promote it, because I feel like as much as I say things about teammates doing things poorly, which is just me trying to teach people, even though sometimes in the heat of the moment, I don't necessarily explain it the correct way, or in a way that is beneficial to the video itself. Now, right off the bat, we do see a Königsberg over there. I'm not going to go into history. I didn't actually do much research on this ship, so I apologize ahead of time if you guys were looking for history. I don't know if there is. I'm sure there is, because there were 6 of them in the series, so I apologize ahead of time on that. But there's a lot that goes on in this match, and it happens pretty quick, so I don't really have time for the history. So let me know if you guys want to hear some of the history of this ship, or maybe we can do another video at some point. Like I said, I'm not gonna, you know, I might go back and do some extra ones. Anyway, Nevny throws itself out there, and this is where our team does an extremely good job early on of focusing down the destroyer. He has made a huge error. He is pushed out, trying to get torps off in a Russian destroyer, and he's getting obliterated for it, as he should. I think the Nevny, I'm pretty sure the Nevny is a Russian destroyer. Anyway, he's in a destroyer. He pushed into the entire team. Now, this goes right back to that counter rotation that I talked about in the last match. Okay? The map is overloaded. And if you look, the right side for our team has the advantage in numbers on their enemy's left side. Okay, and that creates that counter rotation, the counterclockwise rotation of the map, whereas if both teams push their advantage as they're supposed to, then you will end up with both teams kind of wiping their side and moving into the base at roughly the same time. Doesn't always end that way. Some teams don't push their advantage when they have it, don't recognize that they have an advantage. However, I'm going to make sure that I push forward to make sure that this flank understands that we can push together. That being said, our battleships are playing way too passively. They're both broadside on to the enemy team right now, and they are sitting back. Now, it does look like they're starting to turn around, and I'm sure we'll get some help from them. They're probably shooting this direction, but their positioning on the map, while it is a nice central position, meaning they can inflict damage on the whole map, when you have an advantage on a flank, you want to try to push that advantage, and part of that is having your battleships with you to soak up some of the hits. But we're going to get pretty lucky in this match. We're focusing everybody down. We focused down the destroyer. We're now focusing down the Emil. And then we are personally going to turn away from that Iron Duke that has started hurting us. Now, why? Well, it's a domination. And because it's a domination, we can get away from the guy that's going to run himself out of play. Okay? Now, we get the cap just in time to avoid sailing out of the cap here, and that's when I noticed this Trento, so I am starting to get, and this is where I talk about the turret rotation on this ship is fantastic. And, of course, the penetration, still French armor piercing, which is fantastic, so against cruisers, you're nuking them. Now, this is where I get into trouble. There is a Pensacola directly off my bow, there is a Dallas directly off my starboard. I've got to make a choice. Pensacola can and will nuke me if I give him the broadside. So I am staying bow tanking him at least until I can hug the island. That's what I'm doing right now. There's an island directly ahead of me. I need to hug that island. I'm also maintaining shots at the Dallas to try to keep him honest, because if he keeps giving me the full broadside, I'm going to start getting Citadel. It's just a matter of time. You cannot give this much broadside in a light cruiser and get away with it forever. You're going to get tagged. It's just a matter of angles and when I'm going to get regular penetrations and Citadel hits rather than just straight over penetrations. But as you can see, I have stopped next to the island. I am a little better angled now against the Dallas. Still not ideal. Still taking a lot of damage here, but I'm going to start to reverse and angle even more steeply, allowing my spaced armor to do what it does best. And now as he starts to come towards me a little bit, that's when he's going to get himself into some trouble. He realizes he's in trouble, he starts to turn out, and that's the guaranteed Citadel. Like, as soon as you put yourself in an angled situation in a light cruiser against another cruiser, you're done. And it's the same for battleships too, except battleships can do it straight through your bow if they're a good shot. They get some RNG. And hello, Königsberg. Fancy meeting you here. What are you trying to do? Steal my base? Now I know I didn't get much damage, but we do finish him off, and that leaves the Pensacola. Now, Pensacola's firing HE, which is stupid. Now, I'm not saying he's stupid, but I'm saying the Pensacola is an absolute monster with AP. Monster! And the fact that he's firing HE at a light cruiser is staggering to me. But new players do what new players do. Personally, I appreciate it, and he's going to go down, giving us our 4th kill of the game. And just like that, our team has completely cleaned this match. The team was able to hold the A cap for the most part. We were able to come back and help the Central and get rid of a lot of low health targets quickly. One of the absolute strengths of light cruisers is removing ships from the game. Battleships struggle to remove ships from the game unless, of course, they delete them outright. But battleships in general will hit people really hard, but leave them, as you see with me all the time, with just enough to get away. And what'll happen is, if you don't get rid of those people that have low health, you end up with matches where the entire enemy team is alive, even if they have no health. And leaving guns alive, whether they have no health or all their health, ends up with an absolute overmatch. So, that is the role of the light cruiser, and a lot of people don't understand that. First of all, being able to go out and get destroyers early on is your biggest thing, because you're the mobile one, you're the ones that are going to be able to get close, and then you have the rate of fire to absolutely ruin destroyers, and the accuracy to go with it. But the specialty rule for light cruisers is finishing off those low health targets. Being able to knock out 2, 3, 4 ships in quick succession that have gotten rocked because your team has been on point. Now, you're not always going to have a good team, and that's where you need to improvise, and the better you get at the game, the more you'll be able to overcome those situations as well. But, on the general, that's what your role is as a light cruisers. Try to get rid of all those low health ships that people just can't seem to finish off. Now, as you can see, we're trying to get that cracking, hoping we can get that cracking, get a fire on this guy. Unfortunately, we're just not going to be able to. It's taken too long for the rounds to get to the target. We don't get the fire, and the Montecuccoli over there manages to finish him off. But I thought this was a pretty good game. Not the most damaging game in the world, but 4 kills. We're going to get, I think, 2,500 base XP in this match for 2 caps. We did a lot of moving around, and it just showcased the armor of the French cruisers against other cruisers. That is their specialty. So, if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.